and an early finish to the day's play, play getting
Yeah.
called off in Manchester without a ball being bowled.
Mhm.
Typical English proceedings.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of bound to happen at some stage in England.
True.
We were discussing yesterday totally unpredictable weather, and but to lose a full day's play is unfortunate. At least like the first day when there were some delays, but we got some play, hoping for some play. But yeah, full day's play is lost.
Yeah. Of course, so that this changes the equation, right, for both teams now. Of course, West Indies, are sort of back in the driver's seat, so to speak, because all they need is a drawn series to retain the Wisden Trophy. So the onus is on England to try and get a result out of the remaining 2 days, weather permitting.
Yeah, I think West Indies would be quite happy if
Yeah.
more play is lost due to rain, because they have a really uphill task if they want to even think of saving this match. I mean, a
True.
win is pretty much out of the question for the West Indies. So the rain is sort of doing their job. So I don't think West Indies will mind too much if more play is lost.
Yeah, yeah, but also there's been some criticism of England's slow batting in this Test match. They batted for nearly 2.5 days for their 469. So do you reckon, in hindsight, do you reckon they would have been better served with, say, an extra 20 overs to bowl at West Indies late on day two instead of the 100 odd they probably added to their first innings total?
Yeah, hindsight is always 2020, as they say. I think you can't really blame England for the way they batted, because
Yeah,
look, when you are playing, you can only play based on the situation and conditions that is right in front of you at the time.
correct,
It
correct.
is very tough to look too far ahead in the future, because
Yeah,
you might lose track and you might get yourself into trouble. For example, if England had assumed that they are going to lose a lot of time due to rain, and if they start going for their shot, they might have ended up being bowled out for
yeah,
below 300, and then the discussion would be the total opposite. It would be, why didn't they take their time? Why did they go for
yeah,
the shots? And now they have a chance of even losing the match. So I think, given the situation at the time, the conditions that we spoke about, assisting the
yeah,
fast bowlers, it
yeah,
was Stokes and Sibley did the right thing, took their time.
yeah.
I think their thinking was, let's get some runs on the board and leave the
Yeah.
weather for later.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting you say that, because let's talk about this hypothetical situation where England declare on 369 instead of 469. So that sets West Indies a target of 170 to avoid the follow-on instead of the 270 they are chasing now. Now, given the circumstances, of course, I'm sure Root took the balance of power into consideration, considering it's West Indies that's 1-0 up and not England. So
Yeah.
of course England have a lot more to lose in this Test match, as more than West Indies, of course. So, which is understandable, right? I mean, you can have that defensive, quote unquote, mindset while taking into consideration when to declare the innings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would take a really, really brave captain to declare on
Yeah,
360, 370 odd,
yeah, yeah,
because then you're probably setting yourself up for even a loss. At least
yeah,
now England is guaranteed a draw, and I don't think
yeah.
they're in a position where they can lose. So, yeah, I think they did the right thing by sticking around and declaring at 460 odd.
Correct. Correct. And then one piece of good news coming out of the English camp today was, of course, Jofra, who's going to be available for the third Test after he was let off by the disciplinary committee with a written warning and a fine. No bans imposed though. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I two sides to this. One, you have to appreciate the ECB for taking a really tough and bold decision. It is like the equivalent of the BCCI banning Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma. That is
Yeah,
the sort of impact that Archer has, and that
true.
is the sort of influence that he has on his team. So, bold decision, tough decision by the ECB. But on the other hand, you see, this series is extremely vital for the future of international cricket, and you could even say international sport, because the whole world is watching you. Uh,
Yeah,
if things go right in this series and everybody stays healthy and free of the virus, then
Yeah.
that will encourage other boards to start their own cricket and sports activities.
Correct.
Whereas on the other hand, if something silly happens like this, and God forbid, if the tour is called off, or if a couple of key
Mm,
players get tested
mm.
positive because of a few
True.
silly actions,
Yeah.
then other boards would be afraid as well, and rightly so. I mean, because
Mm,
we keep discussing that our Indian cricket team or any sports star
yeah.
is like a treasure to our nation. So we don't want to put them in harm's way unless you know for sure that they would be safe. So given that, I would say Archer should feel that he's lucky to escape with
Yeah.
just a one-match ban and a fine and an apology.
Mm,
Um, if the ECB and in general world cricket wanted to make an
yeah.
example of him, they would
Yeah.
have banned him for much longer, just to set that message across to everybody to say, don't even think of breaking the rules. There's a lot at stake here, and if you do, you will be
Yeah.
in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, correct. But yeah, I mean, all things said and done, England will have the services of their premier fast bowler when the caravan moves. Well, it doesn't move anywhere if they stay put in Manchester
Exactly.
for the final test. So, so yeah, your predictions for day 4, should the weather permit some action tomorrow?
Um, I think England still have time to get the win. I know a full
Yeah.
day's play is lost, but given the conditions, I think 2 days is enough. 2 days is
Yeah.
enough to get the remaining wickets, all 19 of the wickets that remains. So I
Mm.
wouldn't write this off as a draw just as yet. I would
Yeah.
say England, definitely the favorite. West Indies would have to bat out of their skins to save this match.
Correct. And then just one last question: do you see any say a sort of a permutation combination where someone like Jason Holder could consider coming up the order, considering that you need someone to sort of hold that middle order together?
Yeah, this would be the ideal time for him to come up the order because, like you said, he's a solid batsman. He's an intelligent batsman. He's not going to get out to any silly strokes. He's going to play well within himself. He's going to
Mm.
keep his partners pretty calm. And most importantly, when he bats, there's a sense of calm in the dressing room as well. So if he can
Correct.
stick around, maybe come up the order, like you said,
Yeah.
stick around for a few hours, that will calm a lot of nerves in the West Indies dressing room.
Right, that's true. So let's see how the action unfolds, whether it unfolds at all, whether the weather gods relent, and how the two teams fare on day 4. So that will be all from our side.